Good morning, PDHP parents and community. I'm Carrie Ann Fitzgerald from the Program for the Development of Human Potential. I'm the Parent Community Outreach Coordinator for the agency. So that means I do parent workshops, um, faculty workshops, consultations, and of course, social media outreach. We are also in the process, this is very exciting news, of building what's called a coalition in Richmond Hill, Queens. So, very exciting stuff going on at PDHP. And I hope that your Monday morning has you going with a pep in your step. This weekend was a gorgeous weekend. It was kind of a couple of bonus days. So, I do hope you were able to get out and enjoy it with your family and friends at, of course, a socially distant um, point of view. Okay. Um, this weekend, we did enjoy a lot of outdoor time, and it was great because we were able to kind of disconnect a bit from our tech devices because that seems to be more and more the go to on so many occasions. Without further ado, we are still working through our hashtag parents, social media, and your child piece. We have been talking about kind of the mindset and the things that are going on around technology and the users of technology. So, today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about apps. One of the things is apps come out on the market every day. They come out in hundreds, probably even thousands at this point, of new ones. So it is very difficult for any one parent, any one of us who are sitting here listening, to be able to be aware of all of those things that are going on. So I think in some fashion, having this page, having this communication, having this sense of community amongst parents can really help us when it comes to just kind of laying the law down on and getting information on what's going on and what the apps are. Because one thing we realize, if one child knows about an app or a behavior or a trend, you can imagine that almost every child does. So this is a very helpful thing for parents to be able to communicate. So taking a look at some of the apps that kids are using, there hasn't been so much of a big change. Every year around this time, we come back to school and I do these hashtag parent pieces. And oftentimes the principals will come right up to me and say, well, what's the new app? What's the new app? What's going on? And for a couple of years, it's been kind of static. So remember, it's more about behaviors that are going on those apps than the apps themselves. But there are some things that I do want you to be really aware of. Last year, we had a whole trend about VSCO, VSCO, and it was a app that's been around for a while. It's a platform where you store different photos. It was used a lot of times by the girls, and they were storing very artsy looking photos. And then it became kind of a trend, the way they dressed, the way they perceived things, that kind of thing. And sometimes, in some cases, we saw some bullying and exclusion. Well, I'm a VSCO girl, you're not a VSCO girl, that kind of thing goes on. We can say that since March, we have seen such an uptick in different uses. Instagram is still pretty much holding strong, maybe stronger than it had in a few years. Instagram, of course, is where you put up a picture, you use some hashtags, which I'm constantly being told by my niece and nephew that is like done, but they seem to pop up still, those hashtags where you categorize different pictures and different images. And Instagram, it's really that mark of a digital citizen, that idea of maybe like a punctuation in a sentence by putting up a picture like this. Instagram is a great way to capture moments that are precious or important for the kids. But sometimes, of course, what's the line? What's the boundary? Snapchat is still out there. And Snapchat is a messaging, visual messaging that you would put up a picture. When the person that you send it to opens it, it disappears. Okay. Same thing with videos. You could send little videos called stories along Snapchat. stories became popular on different platforms, as we can see as well. So a lot of kids liked this when it first came out because they had been learning about their digital footprint, that they needed to be very aware of what they were putting out there. So Snapchat came out, and it was kind of this relief that things didn't have to be part of their history. However, you and I know as adults that nothing is exactly as it seems. These are not temporary, they are there permanently. Someone can capture it by a third-party video or a screenshot, and it becomes viral. So anything that you wanted to do in the moment becomes, par for the course for everyone to see. And it has gotten a lot of kids in trouble, a lot of people in trouble, as a matter of fact, okay? Especially think about the impulsivity of that age group. Your middle schoolers, your junior high, your high school kids, they have this impulsive nature. They're reactionary. So in the moment, maybe they're angry or maybe they're upset and they say something that they would later regret. It's hard for them to take it back now. House party, I heard a lot about during quarantine, that kids were using it to kind of message in with maybe their whole class that they were missing, or, friends, a group. The thing about house party is always the privacy that goes on there. There are settings that need to be installed so that just a random user can't come into the house party that your children are on, okay? TikTok, of course, has been very popular. YouTube is still very popular, watching videos, especially the younger set. They love to watch different videos. They love to watch unboxing videos of different products. They love to watch games that are recorded and they're watching it. The one thing with YouTube is I want you to consider the fact that when we were kids and we would watch a show, we would have commercials. So you had a break in the action. With YouTube, it's just queued up and it keeps running. And sometimes that's also an issue because it pulls in something that would not be age appropriate. And different games, of course, now are on these internet sites. So just being aware of that. Again, setting the different privacy and locations to keep your kids safe while they are gaming. We see Roblox, we see Fortnite, but more popularly, we're looking at Animal Crossing, and we are hearing a lot about Among Us across the different ages. So those are some games that are going on to be aware of. Another thing that really concerns me is that there are a lot of anonymous apps that parents aren't aware of. What do I mean by an anonymous app? Well, you can download this app and use it. And the only thing that you need to register on is your gender, your age, and your location. These are apps like Omegle, Omegle, and Kik, Kik, and Whisper. They are anonymous. If you check some of their web pages, you'll get a sense of what I'm talking about. There is kind of this lack of responsibility. There is this really clear line of age appropriateness. And of course, if I'm telling you that you can locate someone simply by age, gender, and location, we start to worry about stranger danger and predatory behaviors on these particular apps. And our kids, are not suspect to it, but are, vulnerable to that. So being aware of that is very important. That's the one thing I would 110% tell you to draw your line on, okay? And also, at the very least, some of these apps really give into a lot of bullying behavior because of the anonymity, okay? There are other apps out there and websites that a lot of people are talking about, self-help and mental wellness. Again, not age appropriate for anyone on our age length that we work with. So being aware of what the kids are viewing is really important. And finally, something that's come up over the past few years, private photos. Okay. There are apps, if you were to take your phone and write in private photos in your app center, you would see probably about, I want to say about 1,700 different apps that are related to that. This is where you can store on an icon that looks like maybe a calculator, pictures that you don't want other people to see. And you have that for yourself. And you just put in a code that looks like you're doing a math equation on your calculator. And it opens up this private vault of photos. There are also private photo locations within some of these apps, like Snapchat, for example, has one, okay? And they call it For My Eyes Only. You have to wonder, why would someone need to store private photos? What don't you want people to see? What are you hiding? Okay, so be very aware of that. And if you're curious as to if that's being used on your children's devices, you can go ahead into the App Center and on their devices, and you can put that in and you can see if there's anything that's open. And that means that it is installed on the phone, okay? So things to be aware of that are concerning when it comes to different apps. I'm going to wrap up our time right now. If there are any apps that you're hearing about, please let me know. We can always look into it. Like I said, as parents, if we come together and say, hey, I'm hearing about this, I'm concerned because of this, or hey, I've been hearing about this and the kids are really enjoying it. And as a family, we're enjoying it. It kind of goes both ways. So definitely share out anything that you are using that maybe is helpful or things that you're concerned about, and we can look into it a little bit more. Wednesday is Veterans Day, so if you're a veteran, thank you very much for your service. We are taking the day off on Wednesday, so I will be back with you on Friday, and let's talk a little bit more about how our kids are perceiving a digital world, okay? Have a great day. Take care.